Be a good one here, you guys. Going to talk some spooky stories and ghosts and all that good stuff. So see you real soon. Here's the intro going.
Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Paranormal Into the Night on the Late Late Horror Show. Yes, we are going to talk paranormal tonight. It's becoming a thing on this channel, right? We've got a couple with Tracy doing hers on Tuesday now. We'll see how that goes. But we got Krystal Blevins with us. It's going to be fun. She's a paranormal investigator, and she's been doing about 3 years. So I'll let her talk about that, introduce her, and all that good stuff. But welcome, everybody in the chat. Harry Scott, Black Roses, Ginger, Tracy, Connie, Michael P. What's going on? Let's hope this one is without bugs, at least the electronic kind. Listen, internet issues, especially last night. Bear with me. I think tomorrow the internet issues will be all cleared up finally. But until then, hopefully tonight goes great. Overnight tonight, you guys, we're going to have CBS Radio Mystery Theater all night long. I picked out some really good episodes, so you guys should really enjoy that. So hello, Samantha. What's going on? Kathy, Dennis, RTN, Droon. What is going on? Yes. Kathy is here. You guys all coming in. Hey, feel free to ask questions along the way. I'm sure she'd be happy to talk about it. She is a horror fan too, so we may touch on some horror movies right after that. But let me go ahead and introduce to you. Oh, make sure you guys check out all the links below in the description. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, please, the bell, subscribe, all of that good stuff on YouTube. Thank you. And with that said, I'm going to bring in Krystal Blevins, paranormal investigator. Krystal, hey,
Okay.
how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And like a lot of my guests, because I search out different kind of people and guests. This is your first time doing an interview, right?
It is my first time.
Yes, it's her first time, everybody. So be be good. But no, hey, what I love about the paranormal field is getting to real people and listening to real stories from real people. You do have a paranormal investigation background, so that's going to help the conversation here a little bit. So I guess to start things right off, hello CM, I see in the chat. If you hear me go off, Krystal, with people in the chat, that's just what I do.
Okay.
People pop in, I say hi and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and start with your experience, and then we'll get to like the reason behind why you started and all that kind of good stuff. You know what I mean? So what's your experience? I know it's short, 3 years, but it sounds like you've had a lot of investigations during that period, right?
I have. About 3 years ago, I wanted to check out a hospital. It's kind of close to me, within 2 hours. It's Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. I went there expecting absolutely nothing. I thought this is just gonna be a fun night to hang out with people, and I got there, and it was just a ridiculous amount of activity. The people there was just great. Seeing all the equipment, all the interaction, I was like, okay, this is me. This is what I've been looking for. This is what's going to make me happy. This is what I'm going to do. And I just continued from there on, booking events, looking at events, doing my own thing, doing my own research, taking the time to get to learn myself and my own senses and my own talents that I have, which I will get to. And I just went from there, and I've not stopped. It's been nonstop for 3 years.
Okay. Hello, Maria with T and Telly. What's going on? So I would ask you, going back to that first experience, you said it was the old Pittsburgh hospital?
Yeah, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
Okay, and
It
yeah, what during that investigation went on that kind of freaked you out or got you to go, wow, okay, there's something to this?
Yeah, I was seeing there was shadows. I was hearing things. I didn't actually see anything but shadows, but there was a lot of the equipment was going off and working, and I thought, okay, this is real. This is not just something I'm watching on Discovery Plus anymore. I'm
Right.
living it. I'm in this, and it was just ridiculous. It was a ridiculous amount of my feelings, my emotions was everywhere, and I left there a believer. I went in a skeptical believer, and I came out a believer.
Okay, very cool. So that's where it all began, the Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. So very cool. And hello, Roger Stevens. What's going on, Mac? Good to see you. That's where it all began. And from that point forward, you've been doing it about 3 years. But what got you to even get to that point? Like anything in your childhood happened? Are there gifts that you've lived with throughout this time period, since you were a kid that kind of swayed you to the paranormal field? I mean,
There
talk a little bit
was
about your childhood and
there was I was actually my mother had a very complicated pregnancy. I was actually born deceased. I was deceased. They called it at least 7 minutes. Of course, you're talking about 1980, so as far the records do say 6 minutes and so many seconds. They actually called it. They called I was gone, and I began crying again, or just began crying. So kind of
heart
really
was not beating?
my heart was not beating.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they had actually called me as being deceased at that time. Um,
Huh.
didn't really think anything about it. I was raised in a very small town. I like to call it the belt buckle of the Bible Belt. You don't talk about spirits unless it's the Holy Spirit. Uh, you don't do that sort of thing. So I was always discouraged. But as a small child, I do recall having what was called invisible friends. I was an only child, so they just said I was a lonely child and making up things. But to this day, I know what I was seeing, and I know that it was not invisible friends. Um,
And
but it
this
was my
happened from the very beginning, like
yeah.
your earliest memories? Okay.
The earliest memory I have was probably about 5 years old, and we lived in a home that used to be a schoolhouse. It was an old schoolhouse, and there were children. There were children around me. There I could hear teach. What I called them teachers because they were always so stern. But again, I was a child, and I thought, okay, they're right. It's just my imagination. I'm just a kid, whatever. Um, as I grew up, it was very much frowned upon. You don't talk about that stuff. So I
Of
just
course.
didn't. I didn't talk about that stuff. I was constantly seeing things. I was constantly hearing things, feeling things, but I pushed it aside. So I didn't really dive into it much until after my father passed away. And my oldest son, actually, he was 2, and he made it very obvious that my father had come to him, had come to us, and was there with us. And I said, okay, enough of this pretending it don't exist.
Mhm.
I'm going to start, doing my own homework and really honing into these feelings and emotions that I have. And that's what I've done. So that's been 14 years of at least trying to figure out who I am and
Okay.
what's what out there.
Okay. And yeah, somebody did say in here because I've never heard that saying before. Born deceased. I mean, to come out of the womb and to have a near death experience right off the bat, which of
Mhm.
course so early on there, you probably don't remember anything about that, just the stories
No.
that your parents said. Um, but again, I do want to touch on a little bit about you started seeing things from your earliest memories. I mean,
Yes.
were they full on spirits, people? Did they look like people? Did they look like what you would call a spirit or a ghost, where you could see through them? Were they? What did they look like to you?
They were people. And I specifically remember one being a little girl, and I called her Sammy. Um, and again, I was only 4 or 5, but I do recall being so very protective of this little girl that I even made my mom set a place at the table for her.
Okay.
We played dolls together. She was real to me. Everything about her was real. So to this day, I don't know that it wasn't in my imagination, but at that, I also don't know that it was in my imagination because I've seen things. I would go to family reunions at cemeteries and I would see people that wasn't there and I would talk about it. And of course, my family says, no, we don't talk about that. That's not what you saw. But yeah, I did. I really did.
But so yes, you're saying you really did. You definitely really saw. You could, especially when you got older, distinguish from the real and what wasn't real, right?
Right.
And do you still see dead people?
I do not.
You do
I do
not.
not.
Okay.
I do not.
At what age did you lose that?
I don't know if it was an age thing, just
Hmm.
how just the age itself, or if I just suppressed everything so much, or if I mean I still hear things. I hear when I'm on investigations, I can hear whispers. I can make out full sentences. I can make out voices. I can tell people where to go, and they can go there and they can pick up something immediately. Um, it, it's just I don't have the vision. I no longer can see the things that I hear.
Okay, but so the gift kind of isn't gone though. It's just you don't see, but you kind of pick up on in other ways. And thank you, Maria, for the $3 super chat. I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. And thanks for the email there, Tracy. As people were asking, yes, always email me, you guys. If anybody is interested in being a guest or has a story or has pictures or anything, please go ahead and email it to that email right there, dinomedia2020 at icloud.com. Definitely. So the other ways that you kind of sense things now are in what manner?
Now I do hear things. Sometimes it's very faint, but it's enough to tell me which direction to go in. Um, or I can hear words, and usually they're right on the money. I can hear something and it'll pop up on an ovulus. I didn't tell anybody what that word I heard was. I may have
Yeah.
told one person in my group and they're like, "Oh, wow." I can hear things, but sometimes it's just not as loud as I would like for it to be. But
So you
most
definitely
of,
get feelings, right? You
yes,
definitely get
most
feelings. Okay.
most of mine's emotion. I've noticed a lot lately. I get overwhelmed with an emotion. It's either happy,
You're an
sad, anger.
empath. You're an empath. So yes. Okay. Do you consider yourself a psychic or a medium?
I do not.
No. Okay.
But again, I'm still trying to
Learn.
figure out who I am and get it all honed in and use it the way that I'm supposed to.
Hey, listen, I'm right there with you. You can go many years and not really, and just kind of push it to the side. And I've kind of done that myself. So I understand what you're saying with not really, getting into it, especially if it's shunned upon in your family or your wherever you live. But definitely very interesting. Just trying to keep a look at the chat here for questions. If you guys got any, please do. Um, so your ultimate goal, everybody's got an ultimate goal when they get into this field. Is it what kind of questions are you trying to answer?
I just want answers. There is just so much that we don't know. We're never going to know, but I want to feel like I know. But I just want answers. I want to know what's out there. Is there life after death? Is this it? Is there
Yeah.
reincarnation? All these things that I just don't know for a fact, and I never will. But I just like the thrill of it, and I like to um, help others as well as much as I can because locally I'm called upon quite often to just come to homes or property or even places of business to see if I pick up on anything or hear anything or see anything because they're frightened. And if I can at least tell them, I don't think there's anything here to be afraid of, but there is something here. And I've been to one place where I was like, okay, there's definitely something here to be afraid of, and I'm not coming back without a priest. But there's those types of things. But that's really all I'm doing it for is my own
I
self.
hear
As
you.
selfish as that sounds, I want to know. And
No, that's definitely good to hear. Yeah.
mm,
Those are good answers. I'm along the same lines. I got into this many years ago, and a lot of these people don't know about it, but I've been doing this for a while, and digging into my gifts and everything like that. And it's the near death. What happens after you die? Is there anything more than this? I mean, there's plenty of evidence that shows that something's going on. There's weird things going on out there. It's just getting down to what's going on, So
mm,
all these investigations only add and help to you know find out what's in the hereafter, right? So Droon says the pineal gland, or the third eye, is largest when we're a child, but it grows smaller as we age. Yep. um, Kids are the most open to these kind of things, and a lot of times it does go away when you get older, because of life and everything else that's we have to deal with, right? But let's get right into your kind of, now that we know a little bit about you, your investigations. Let's talk about some of the big things that have happened that, like, kind of just really pick a place and pick the most interesting thing that happened to you.
um, probably the most, I would say, the most interesting, almost freakish thing that happened to me, but still made me want to go back for more, was at Octagon Hall in Kentucky.
Okay.
Um, Lots of activity there. It is ridiculous. Also, the activities there. But we were in a bedroom. I'm just gonna call it a bedroom, but this was a hospital of some sort. I believe it was some war hospital. Um, but we were in a bedroom, and I'm sitting in front of the bed, and we're running equipment. We've got REM pods out, we've got cat balls, we're doing everything. And I'm sitting in front of a bed, and I felt my shirt, it kind of tugged a little bit, and I thought, well, that's weird. So I thought it was all in my head. But then I go to move it, and something touched my hand. So I
Hmm.
moved. I was like, okay, something's under the bed. There was nothing under the bed. So
Under the bed. Under the
under the
bed.
bed,
Oh
under the
boy.
bed, because I was sitting in the floor
Okay.
in front of the bed, because that is what
Yeah.
I do. I tend to put myself in the worst possible positions in investigations. But I moved over, and we start talking, and we're picking up on a child. Like it's a child, which would make sense. It's very childlike behavior. Oh, I'm going to pull your shirt. I'm
Yeah.
going to kind of tease you a little bit.
And
Um,
hiding under the bed.
Hiding under the bed. So, and when we go outside, I'm taking pictures outside of the actual house. I'm using my, night vision on my camera. I can't see anything. So I snapped a picture of where I was in that room. And I have the picture, but as plain as day, it looks like a little girl in a white dress is looking out that window. Nothing was in that window. I showed it to everybody there. And prior to going to new locations, I like to not know any history of the
Right.
house or the
Okay.
location. I want to see what I pick up and then compare notes with others or look up the history after the fact.
Right.
And then there was actually a little girl who had died in that house, and she had been seen before in a white nightgown. So no one had told me that. So I was like, okay, okay. So she was
Mhm.
messing with me under that bed. So I love that location just for that one experience, because it was just like she was trying to communicate with me. She was trying to play with me, I guess you could say. But I
What
really
kind of
enjoyed
history
that.
did you what kind of history did you pick up on the girl? Did you figure any, like, how long ago it was, what she died of? stuff like
I did
that.
not pick up on that. They would give you they told us the history after the fact because I specifically asked, I don't want to hear it. I will just leave the room. I don't want to hear your history until I do my investigation. I want to believe that she burned in that house in a fireplace or a furnace. It's been a while back, but
Okay.
she did die there, and it was by fire. So
Okay. Well,
yeah.
terrible way to go. But
Mhm.
and the house was old, or
Oh yeah. It's not even a house. I mean, it's a house, but it was used for a hospital. There's people who believe there's portals there. I'm a believer of that there are portals there as well. So
and the name of
it,
the place is what?
it's Octagon Hall. It's in
Octagon Hall.
Franklin, Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
Okay. Yeah, we have a Franklin haunted castle here where I am. Very well known, but it's technically it was a billionaire's role, or not billionaire's role, millionaire's role back in the 20s, early part of the century, and they built them along the lake, Lake Erie, and it's to this day one of the most haunted spots in the Cleveland area and very well known. It has a history of the Underground Railroad that went underneath the house, underneath the ground, all the way into the lake, where they would go into the boats and cross over to Canada. So, very interesting place. Very interesting place. If you ever get to check it out. Any throw another one at me. Anything else
let's
sticks
see.
out?
Well, I was just at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary this past weekend. I
Okay.
have been there 12 times total because I live 40 minutes from that closed down prison. I would
Okay.
go on day tours, and I've been on. This was my second night tour, but the first one that I've actually stayed the whole night. We were.
Spent
I
all
was in.
night there. All
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah. It's a very active location. It's a very sad location. Obviously, it's a prison, but we were in the D block, which is where the worst of the worst was kept. And we had lots of activity in D block. We had equipment going off on both ends, but ironically enough, when it was me and another female, and as soon as the male would leave the room, most of the equipment would go off, which we thought was kind of funny. We kind of messed with that a little bit. We kind of rolled with that. Um, but that was interesting to say the least. We had other people in the group that went into D block after we left, and they had just a ridiculous amount of activity as well that night in just the D block. So we had a lot there for sure.
Okay. What are the main instruments that you like to use on an investigation?
I mean, I like to set up just my REM pods, and I love cat balls. I know that sounds crazy, but I love them. They're easy to carry. I can move them around wherever I want to go.
Yeah.
But honestly, my favorite piece of equipment, as crazy as it sounds, is my cell phone. I have everything I need in the palm of my hand. I have
Okay.
camera, I have video, I have voice recorder. Um, you know, that's my favorite because I can record a whole investigation and go back and listen to it later without, the
Yeah.
possibility of equipment being, if you set up equipment, sometimes if a cell phone gets too close, if someone in that group doesn't have airplane mode on, it's going to set it off. And you don't know necessarily that someone has their airplane mode off or on. So you're just kind of hoping that you're actually getting activity. You might not be. You might be picking up someone's cell phone. So I just like to depend on my own senses and what's in the palm of my hand. But I do have lots of equipment, but it has failed me a few times just because of the interaction that I get with the other pieces of equipment if they're too close or if someone walks by with a cell phone, things like that. I feel like it taints it a little bit. So I like to
Okay.
depend on myself more than anything.
EMF. How often do you get some? Have you gotten some good ones or?
EMF, yes. Yes. Again, then I use my EMF. I would say if I'm on a 4-hour investigation, I may use it for an hour total, just
Okay.
because it picks up so much stuff going on around that I may not know, especially in a large group,
And
because
do you
I'm
got
not
an
going to.
EMF meter, or do you use your phone, an app with that?
I
Because
actually, I have it right here. I actually have a meter, so
okay, okay,
I
there
use
you
an
go.
actual meter. I don't
Okay,
use apps on my phone typically. The only thing
okay,
I'm using on my phone is my voice recorder and my camera. I just don't
okay,
trust
good, good.
apps. So,
Gotcha, gotcha. No, no, exactly. That's why I was asking because
yeah, I mean, I want the truth and I want answers, so I'm trying to not use
yeah,
anything that's, could be not.
exactly,
But I do
exactly.
have all equipment. So it's just the only thing that worries me is another piece of equipment getting too close to it and giving me a false reading. That's
Yeah.
the only thing. If
Well,
I'm
I mean,
alone, I'm going to use it all. And I know that my phone's on airplane mode and I know I'm good and know what I'm getting is real. But if I'm in a
right.
large group, I'm a little more skeptical of what's going on
Okay.
around me.
Okay, and again, over the years, you'll figure out what works for you. Me myself, I think the more you have, even though there could be the possibility of interference and everything like that, the more you have, the more you can figure things out. So
Mhm.
that's just me. That's just me. But we do got some questions. Thank you. If feel free again, you guys, if you guys got questions for her. Chris W says. Krystal, have you ever been attacked by a spirit? If so, in what way?
I actually have. There's a local little place here close to me. It's called Rugby, Tennessee, and it was actually a British utopia. It was designed to be a British utopia many, many, many years ago, settled by British. And I like to go there quite often because there's so many urban legends and
Mm,
stories, and I do go there and I lead a lot of investigations there on my own. First time I went was I was in the cemetery. It was raining, it was cold, but I was determined. And I kept walking in circles and I kept ending up at the same headstone multiple times. And, it's raining, it's dark, I'm not thinking much about it. And as I go to step away, I'm physically pushed to the ground. And there was another female in the group and she was actually pushed not long after I was pushed. So I'm standing there when got myself up and I'm looking at the headstone and I can't really make it out, but I became very nauseated to the point I almost passed out. So I had to remove myself from that area and go sit down. Um, the next day, when it was daylight and it wasn't raining and cold, I actually went back
mhm.
to take a picture of the headstone and try to do some research at that point because this was something that never happened to me before. And as I'm digging into all these archives and all this research, I did actually find a death certificate from this person, and he did die of poison.
Okay.
So I do feel like I was kind of picking up on that maybe, or
Okay.
or maybe he just wants justice. I'm not sure. I've never got the
Well,
answer that
what?
I want out of that place, but every time I go, I feel like he's there, and I feel like he's after me for some reason. But
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not
well,
I'm not the
poison.
only person who has ever experienced that particular
Yeah.
thing there. So
Okay. So poison. I mean, any more facts around that? I mean, did somebody slip him some poison? He died. Is he trying to find answers? Why did somebody poison me? What's going on here? I mean,
yeah,
or did he
I mean,
just accidentally take something? I mean, there's got to be something in the records that state that, right?
I can't find anything. Of course, you're talking about years and years and years ago, and this
Okay.
little area had their own records and archives, and I was
But it
lucky
said
to have found
poison.
that. And at
Okay.
first I thought, oh, okay, his wife did it. That's my first thought because she's buried right next to him, that she
Well,
actually passed away before he did.
yeah.
Um, so I'm not real sure who would have poisoned him, but that's the cause of death on his death certificate is poison.
That was a very high, and I get what you're saying. On a lot of the old records, it would just say death, poison. It won't go into
Mhm.
facts a lot of the
Yeah.
times. That's where you start digging into the property, find out who actually owned the property, if there's any family or relatives around there that you can get a hold of and stuff. So yeah, I get all of that. That's for sure. And it's an interesting fact that poison, uh, deaths of husbands by their wives through poison in the late 1800s, early part of the century was very high up there on the reason for deaths.
That was my
For the
first thought. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to see when she passed away. But she actually passed away before him, so that
yeah.
led me nowhere. That didn't take me where I wanted to go at all with
Okay.
that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. It's the story behind those types of things that just definitely are very interesting. Like, I'm looking for answers. You're looking for answers, but to be in the paranormal investigative field and to pick up on these little stories and doing the investigation, that's part of the fun of everything too. It's a journey, right, that you're taking when you're trying to figure out all these answers. So that's just why I love it so much. But anyways, Tracy Asteria has a question. She says, do you have a dedicated team that you investigate with? What roles do they play in the group?
I do not have a dedicated team. I investigate with several teams. I'll just jump in there with them for a night. I do come from a very, very small town, and it's just not. I'm the only person here that does this. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in my whole town that even watches it on TV, to be honest. So,
Yeah.
um,
Oh, jeez.
so I have to travel around and just kind of meet people and jump into their investigations, and I'm okay with that. But I am a one woman show. I do find my locations on my own. I do my research on my own. I set up equipment on my own, do my investigations on my own, unless I am at an event or a location with a group. I do a lot of things locally. I lead a lot of things locally. And when I do, I'm doing it on my own. So I do not have a dedicated team. That is a goal of mine, but I'm probably going to have to branch out from where I live a little bit.
Yeah,
But
yeah. How deep in the forest are you,
I
Crystal?
feel like I'm way in the forest. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like Snow White is just around the corner, actually. Um,
And any Bigfoot or monsters or anything like that in the
well,
woods or
I mean, I am in the country. I've never personally met Bigfoot, but I'm always looking.
Okay,
I,
okay.
I'm always listening for his knocks, but I've not heard him yet.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, Chris W. People are born in one end of the hospital and are put in freezers in the hospital's morgues. They're all haunted. Listen, because I know Denny said, why aren't more hospitals haunted? I think you'd be surprised, Denny. Most hospitals, and I don't know how many you've investigated, but most hospitals do have some sort of history dealing with paranormal activity. Some are full blown haunted. You'll walk in there and people go, "Oh yeah, you've heard the story." Start talking to people when you're in the hospital. Start talking to people, and you'll hear them go. Look around, and then they'll start talking to you. It's happened many, many times. So Connie, I kind of a follow up question, but do you have a way to protect yourself after being attacked?
Of course I carry sage spray. I do my own prayers. I do my own sprays. I can burn sage, but I also carry crystals, different stones with me if I'm going to certain locations. I don't always carry them because I feel like sometimes they keep things away from me because they are protecting. But if it's a location that I've heard about or maybe I've been there before, I may throw a little bit of protective stone in my pocket just because I don't want to bring anything home. I do have children, so I don't
Right.
want things in my home attacking us or my children. So I do
Well,
try to protect myself.
that's good. That's good. Yes. And there's many ways of doing that, and I'm sure you've looked into them.
Mhm.
Hello, Anonymous. What's going on? Good to see you here. Night Fright Talk Show. Good to see you. And Dennis, RTN Productions. What's going on, Denny? Thank you for the $5 US super chat. Great guest, great interview, great channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate it. Yes, I'm enjoying the conversation very much so. Connie Clary has another question. If Connie's going to ask the questions, so be it. Keep them coming, Connie. Anyways, but we are going to touch on, after this question, I'd like to touch on the spirits because you said there's something in your house. Anyways, question, New Orleans. Gettysburg or other really hot spots, would you go there? Have you been
I,
there?
I have been to New Orleans. This was before I really got into this. So, I mean, this was years ago. I really want to go back. Gettysburg, I've never been. It's on my list, but I haven't. As a single mother, I have to just squeeze this stuff in when I
Yeah,
possibly can. So it's there's so much I want to do that I've not done yet that I'm going to do. New Orleans,
yeah.
probably. I mean, I'm probably even going to go in December to New Orleans. So looking forward to
Okay.
that.
Yes, a very haunted city.
Yes.
Um, it's got a lure about it. So yes, that's very cool. And Gettysburg, if you number one thing you want to do in Gettysburg is you want to have your EVP going at all times because the number one thing you pick up on, especially in a lot of the battlefields, are EVPs. And there's been people who have actually picked up the sound of the actual war going on, oh yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Um, oh, where was I? Okay, so let's get to really quick the spirits in your home. You said there are some.
Yes.
Well, you tell me how many, who they are, and how they got there, if you know at all.
I know, well, I think I know one, just because we moved into my house, into our house about 6.5 years ago, and we were here maybe 2 months, and occasionally we would hear like a bicycle bell, like an old timey bicycle bell, and kind of thought, well, that's strange, and it would show up at the most random times, and it was starting to kind of freak everybody out a little bit because this was again before I really got into this again,
Mhm.
and well, that is strange. Well, my little boy at the time, he was only two or three, and he would be in his bedroom talking, which isn't abnormal for a child. And one
Right.
day I just went and asked him, I said, who are you talking to? And he said, David, talking to David. And okay, here we go. I'm gonna do like my parents did. He's got an invisible friend, and he was very detailed about David, and he would play with David on the daily. We would hear these bicycle bells at least once a day. Still wasn't thinking a whole lot about it. About 6 months after that, my oldest son was in his bedroom and he came out and he said, when did you go get Bryson? That's my youngest son. I said, I didn't. He's not here. He said, yes,
Mhm.
mom, there's kid back there talking in Bryson's room. So we do know there's David. Um,
And
I've got handprints on the front door. It's very, very small handprints. When it would be raining, you got, precipitation and things.
yeah.
I would pick up a handprint. I've got pictures of the handprints on the front door. David he's never been a bother, I guess you could say. It's kind of company at times.
Just a
I have
young child, right?
a young child. I have tried to communicate with David and see if there was anything I could do. I can't get anything. I can't pick up that he wants to even cross over. I have
Okay.
heard a child saying mommy many, many times. So I think maybe he thinks I'm his mother, or maybe I remind him of his mother, and he doesn't want to go. He's just like any child, he doesn't want to go.
Hmm. And to this
Um,
day, your child still kind of interacts with him, or did that stop?
Dad stopped. He is now
Okay.
almost 10, and he does not talk about seeing David anymore. He did kind of
Interesting.
freak me out one night. Of course, he has a very, 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 very good imagination. And
Yeah.
he was drawing a picture, and I was like, "What are you drawing?" And he said, "That's my bedroom." And he said, "That's a portal." And then there's a man who comes out of that portal every night. And that
Oh,
kind of
geez.
freaked me out a little bit first. I was like, what does this man do? what
Yeah.
what is he doing? But that was the end of that pretty much with him. But David's still here. I hear him, I feel him. Um, there
So
are
there's
other
a
things
possibility.
here. There's at
There's a
least two
possibility.
more things here. I'm sorry.
There's a possibility. There's a portal then in on your property.
That's what I'm starting to think, yes.
Okay.
Because sometimes there's nothing, there's absolutely nothing here, and then sometimes it is just off the chain of the activity. I've had friends come over, they swear they see a really tall man walking through my house. I've never seen it, but they swear they've seen it.
Hmm.
Just shadow figures. I have picked up shadow figures in my side view, but
Shadow
I go
figures is a big thing with houses that have entryways, which again, portals, they're entryways for spirits to come in and out of. And uh, yeah, so shadow people are definitely something that people see when they claim to have portals in their home or their property or something like that. So I didn't mean
yeah,
to interrupt you, but go ahead.
no, you're fine. Um, the floor creaks a lot all throughout the
Yeah.
night at times, and some nights it's very quiet. It's almost like someone's walking
Yeah.
throughout my house and my hall. I keep a little LED light in the hallway. You can actually see it going in and out, like something's walking in front of it
Mhm.
occasionally. It's not every night, it just really depends.
Yeah.
But I do get it. I have run a little bit of equipment in my house, but I live here, so I kind of don't. I
Yeah.
just
You
I
try to
kind of
avoid
talk.
that.
I talk, and then I'm hoping that something, comes through and just goes away on its own, but it doesn't. It just kind of hangs around. But
Yeah.
funny story, probably not funny. It's funny to
Mm.
me. I was actually dating someone, and he swears that something pulled his toes, and he never came back. So um,
Something pulled his toes and
something
he said,
he
forget
never came
about
back.
this.
So with that relationship ended, he swore that
Oh
something pulled his
boy.
toe. So that's not why, but I make a joke about it, like my spirits would
Right.
keep running men off. So yeah,
Well, I mean,
something like that.
you could have just a property that spirits come and go, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? There's plenty of properties that have that to them. Connie Clary asks something else. Let's see. What was the most I think you might have answered it, but let's see. What was the most off the wall thing that has happened to you to date so far?
Um, I've had a lot. I mean, Octagon Hall was the little girl was it's my best memory just because of the
Yeah.
feeling that it gave me of a
Okay.
child trying to communicate with me. Um, I was in a home locally one night. In this particular home, there has been 3 suicides, and they asked me to come in and walk through, do some investigating, and the things I picked up was just not good. Um, I
Hmm.
even told them, you really need to consider getting this house cleansed. I'm not the person to do it, but you really need to get that done. I left there I probably had the worst week of my life after I left there. Just so many bad things happened to me that week. And to the point where I had to actually go to a person of faith and be prayed over. So, that's probably the
Well,
worst
you're
thing
an
that's
empath
happened to me.
too.
Yeah.
So I mean, 3 suicides, you had to have picked up on that, right?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I can't even tell you the amount of sadness that was upon me for about a week.
Ugh,
I mean, it was horrible. Everything about my
yeah.
life was horrible that week. So I actually had to go and get a lot of praying done over my body just to get peace within myself.
Yeah. No, I hear you. That's being empathic, man. I mean, again, there's a lot of things in life that people just don't understand unless they go through it.
Right.
uh and that's one of them, being an empath, picking up and just soaking in all the energy from a particular area. You try to stay in happy places as much as possible in your life, but if you're a paranormal investigator and you're hitting these spots, sometimes they're not very good, so
Mhm.
um, Tracy had a very interesting. She says we have a hospital here in Pictou County in Nova Scotia. There have been many sightings of a young girl spirit wandering the hallways. Very interesting, but yeah, that's another thing. I mean, how often do you come across children? Like, would you say that's like the number one, children, or do you say it's a mixed bag when you come across spirits in your investigations?
I have come across several children during several investigations. I like to think it's because I am a mother. Possibly
Yeah.
I am a female. I know I was at Waverly Hills Sanitarium. I've been there like
Oh
4
boy.
times. Waverly
Yes.
Hills. Yeah.
Okay. To continue and talk about that. Waverly is up there. I love that place. So,
Yeah.
did you get to see, or did the spirit that runs the catwalk, that the shadowy figure, it's known there? Did you pick up on that, or was that not even
Oh my.
discussed? No.
No, I hoped I would. You know, I go into these places because I hear these stories and I go, "Oh, I want to see this. I want to experience it. I don't care how bad it is. I want to see it. I want to experience it."
Yeah.
But I did not. But I did pick up on several children there, and at one point I could have swore there was a child holding my hand. All my equipment that night, the last night I was there, drained. Every battery I had drained. Everything in my bag was dead. Something was definitely trying to use me, my energy, and my equipment's energy, and to get through. So
Okay.
I'm a believer. I'm a definitely a believer in that location as well.
Lots of activity though,
Yes,
right? Or
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay. Just lots of sounds probably, and stuff like that, right?
We
Footsteps.
had knocks. We were actually walking through one room, and there was something thrown at my group. Like you could feel it. You could feel it. You could just feel it. But when
Okay.
we looked down at the floor, it was just little rocks. Like it was somebody took a handful of little pebbles and just thrown them at us. It was just the
Okay.
strangest thing ever.
Well,
But
that's been known to happen there, definitely.
so we definitely encountered some tricksters that night, I think.
Okay, okay. Hello, Binks, and hello, Airlie, Airlie, Airlie. There you go, Airlie 2. There you go. Okay, so this is kind of a personal question, but let's see what you have to say about it. From Jerry Drouillard. Question: do people in your small town shun you because of your activities, or do you
Yes.
keep it under wraps? No. Okay, so they
I
do
do
you walk
not.
the streets and they don't throw stones or nothing though,
No,
right?
I mean, I've not been actually stoned yet. I haven't yet. Um, it's, I did suppress it for years, and I didn't for that reason, just because of where I'm from. Not that it's a bad place, it's a wonderful place. It's just, it's a small town, and it's very small minded. And there's, I wouldn't say that I'm shunned, but I do pick up on whispers. I do hear the things that get back. I'm a witch, apparently.
Oh,
Uh,
geez,
yeah.
really?
I mean, I wish if I were that I could hone into those powers, because I would. But
So the town
yeah,
hall meetings are about, setting a date to burn you, right, at the stake? I
I
mean,
mean, I'm hoping not. But but
yeah,
there's also a very large support group I have here as well. They may not
yeah,
publicly tell it, but they do support me. But I'll never hide what I do. I'll never hide who I am again.
right.
And I know that people have faith in me, because they do reach out to me with questions, and they do come to me and want me to come to their homes, and I go. I'm the only person that does it. So, and it's an honor at times to actually have someone have that faith in me. But
Good.
I mean, I think minds are starting to open up a little bit more. I almost feel like I am bringing it into the community a little bit. I know there's been some investigative groups come into our local jail, our old historical jail, and they allowed that. So I was like, oh, we're actually making progress here, because they allowed that to happen. So I think maybe we're getting somewhere. I think so.
Okay.
I'm just going to keep pushing for it, and maybe I'll make my own little team here in this town. I'm not real sure, but I have actually had bad things said about me. Very
Yeah,
negative things. And I try to not let that affect my kids. And it doesn't. They kind of
that's
laugh
good.
at me because they're children. And well, one's a teenager, so of course he laughs at me. But
Yeah,
it's not affected them at all. So until it does, I'm
that's
just going to keep
good.
pushing on. I'll just keep pushing on and do what I do. And I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
I enjoy it. I enjoy it. And I feel like I have something that I can give.
right.
So I want to do that, even if it's just helping people in their homes. I mean, I get nothing out of this. I'm not paid to do anything. I
Yeah,
spend money. I don't make money. I'll put it that way.
right, right.
and I'm not doing it to make money. That's never been my goal at all.
Exactly. And that's why those are the most important people to talk to sometimes, because they've got the real stories. They don't got an agenda. Not to say that people who are selling books and stuff like that have an agenda, but with building up enough, history, and to share that with people via books or whatever. Why not? Hello, Dean Barker. What's going on, my friend? Zusia K. Good to see you. Gregory, what's going on? Stopping in. Um, so Tracy asked, and this is my fault. Does Krystal have any evidence? She did have me some videos to share, and I couldn't download them, which again, you guys know my internet issues. The I've got an internet provider here, Krystal, that's been driving me nuts, and so I'm working those out. But maybe if we have her on again, she can definitely save up those EVPs, look for them. People love listening to those for sure. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any questions here. Have you visited or did any investigations in any like mental asylums, anything like that?
I have not, and I want to so bad. It's actually in the works. I'm really trying to get into Penhurst and just get the
Okay.
time, and just the time is my problem that I run into most, because I do have children and I do have a regular job. So so it's just having the time to actually get to these locations. But Penhurst is one that I'm going to try to work into within the next year.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Anani Moose asked this question. I could even ask this, but I'll let you ask it. I'm curious what you have to say. Why do most activities occur in the dark? Is this
And
true, or
no.
are preconceptions or false narrative? Okay, I'm glad you said that as fast as you did, because yeah, it doesn't matter if it's daylight, nighttime. It's just most people, for effect, right, go out in the dark because ooh, it's spooky, you know,
Yeah.
and
Well, and I think at night your senses are heightened because you are having to
true.
listen and you're having to watch, and you just, a lot of people are scared of the dark. I'm not, but there are people who are, so they could do kind of heighten those senses a little bit, and it is the
Yeah.
creepy factor. I get more evidence during daylight hours than I do nighttime hours.
Mhm.
Pictures are more clear. You're not having to worry about, oh, is that a light reflection off of a glass, or is that the
Yeah.
moon shining, or is that a dust bunny, that you're catching with a flashlight? So if you get something of the daytime, you might have something solid. So I always go locations during the daytime if I possibly can.
Yeah.
Take pictures, run EVPs, walk around, get a feel of the land, the house, whatever it is. And then I'll go back at night if I so choose. But I actually get more during the daylight. It's not nighttime. Nighttime is just creepy. You just got that creepy factor that we all
Right.
live for. But
Exactly.
yeah.
100%. I agree with you. Hello, Overkill 161. Good to see you. Poetic Justice. What is going on? Good to have you. Real quick, Connie Clary question. Ever get really bad vibes, etc., before you go into a place? I'm sure you do.
I do, and I pray. I mean, I am a woman of faith, regardless of what people say.
Yeah.
So I do have my prayers. I pray on site sometimes. I do pick up bad vibes, but it doesn't stop me. It does not stop me from entering into a building. It does not stop me from doing what I do. Um, and it probably never will until I experience something so life changing that I never do it
Mhm.
again. But it would take quite a bit at this point.
Oh yeah, no. Listen, people of faith. See, that's where people kind of confuse the whole paranormal field with and religion together, because to ask for answers or to look for answers that deal with well, again, there are certain faiths that you just gotta they want you to just have the faith and believe, and there's people who venture out of that, like you, like me, and plenty others, who say, okay, I have my faith, but listen, there's still going to be that lingering question in the back of your head. You know, is this all true? Is what's been written true?
Right.
When we pass on, are we going to go to another, or do we just die? You know, so these questions are the most important, and nobody has the answer. I
No.
mean, we're relying on, I'm trying to watch what I say, but we're relying on the words and people in our faith, right?
Faith. It's faith.
And it's not an easy thing to do, especially when we're here dealing with all the pain and suffering. And not that everybody deals with the pain and suffering. Some people have a blessed life, and that's fantastic. But you know, it's difficult, right? Yes.
Yes, it is
um,
very difficult. I mean, I do have my strong faith, and that's never
right.
going to change. It's just I want answers, and I do it for my own selfish wants, I think. But I do know there's things out there,
Well,
and
it's not selfish. It's again, you genuinely want to know, and
I
I'm the
do.
same way. So there's nothing wrong with that. Don't think it's selfish, even if people are telling you that. I mean, you know, it's that's not the case. So yeah. So any oh, let's see. Where can we go with this? You've had, how about the most haunted home in your area that you visited? Like are residentials more haunted, creepy? Have you encountered more things in you know, houses rather than prisons and stuff like that? Like what's your take on all of that?
Um, I have. I think I'm up to 9 residences locally that I have been to. Um, all of
Okay.
those but 2, I was alone. So, sometimes I got things, sometimes I didn't, but the one here with the 3 suicides, the one locally with the 3 suicides was the worst by far. And that was just my personal experience, just because of what it did to me personally. And for all I
Mhm.
know, I pulled it right out of that house and it's out here roaming around somewhere and it's not there anymore. I don't know. But there's been a few residences locally that stick out, but nothing terrible. It's nothing terrible. Now, my little town, we are sitting on a lot of Indian land. That's always going to come into play. We
Yep.
are sitting on there was lots of slaves in this area. That's always going to come into play. Those little things like that they're there, and it's
Yeah.
not in the homes. It's just here. And
Right.
and this town is full of history, and it's full of all those things, that the voodoo from the slaves, all those things is here. But where is it going to pop up? I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
deal with voodoo down there in Kentucky?
Well, I'm in Tennessee. Um,
Tennessee. Okay,
I'm
Tennessee.
in Tennessee. And well, I mean, we had
Okay.
slaves. We had slaves locally, of
And
course.
the practices were okay, I gotcha. I gotcha.
So, and I
Yeah.
have went to an area where the slaves were prominent, and I did pick up. I actually got an EVP of what sounded like drum music, almost like voodoo music, and
Okay.
it's very, very loud. And it was just one night, I was just sitting by the river, just kind of relaxing, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna pull out my EVP, and I picked that up. So
Wow.
it's
Wow.
here, it's here. But nobody, no, but we're gonna talk about that in this town. But yeah, it's here.
Yeah, yeah. No. Okay. Well, it's a very well, you'll be going to New Orleans, so you'll be able to really dive into that. That's for sure. Anonymous has another question, and this is a little it's not tricky, but I'd like to see your take on it. He says, I do think if there is a multiverse, which I do believe so myself, then it is safe to say that these clash. Yes, you're answering your own question, Anonymous. Could these cause paranormal visions? Um, Visions or just activity? I would say paranormal activity, but go ahead. You got an answer for that, Krystal?
I have
Do you
not
believe in the
really.
multiverse, or is that too scientific right now? And you're
I mean, I do believe in other dimensions. I do.
yes.
I do think that things they come in and they break that veil a little bit. They're
Hmm.
um, and that's another thing I'm trying to figure out is what are we actually getting experience? Are we actually experiencing dead people, or are we experiencing people from another dimension? Which is it? You know, like
I think
I
a
want.
combination of both, but
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I mean, I that's one answer that I want. I want it now. Because there's just so much unexplained out there. There's just so much unexplained with the different dimensions. But
Oh
sometimes I
yeah.
wonder if we're not catching a glimpse of just another dimension and nothing that's even been alive here.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. Like I said, you kind of know the answer there, Anonymous, because yes, there are multiverse, there are parallel dimensions. Again, this is just I believe this wholeheartedly, and I think even science is catching up to this. Even Stephen Hawking and other theoretical physicists that are very renowned, like Michio Kaku and others, talk about the multiverse. So uh, it is a theory that's out there with some of the greatest minds of all time. And if these are clashing or overlapping, yes, you could listen. People, there are so many stories of people picking up conversations like there was one guy, Crystal, and I don't know if you've ever heard of the story, but there was this one gentleman who started hearing a conversation in his home. Okay, it was very faint, but he heard it in one spot of his home. Okay, and he would hear it usually around the same time every day. And all of a sudden, every day he would wake up and he would hear it just a little bit further away. So it started moving throughout the house until he couldn't hear it. And then he walked outside to where, if you keep going, you would hear the conversation. So he followed it through the yard, the conversation throughout the day. He would pick it up, hear things. And yeah, it was just moving until one day it got so far away that it just stopped, listening. But I believe that's something along that line to where are you picking up a different universe? Are they overlapping? Is there something going on there? So that's a big one that stands out for me. I just have you ever heard of that story?
I have not, but I now want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was,
I want to hear the whole story. Yes.
yeah, I'm sure it can be found on the internet. I heard it on Art Bell. I can't remember the guest at the time, but it was a definite story to be heard. It was very interesting. Let's see. I'm just going through. Again, you guys, be sure to hit the thumbs up. Check out the description, all that good stuff. First time here, subscribe. Crystal, I do appreciate you being on here and taking questions and talking about all of this. Um, Let's see. Crystal B says, I love that Crystal is unassuming and natural as an empath and psychic. Well, she's very open. And again, that's what I like. I like when people are real and they're just talking about their experiences. That's where you get the best knowledge and belief that, hey, something really is going on. Is there anything else that stands out to you that you would like to talk about? In any of these investigations or story wise, anything?
I'm trying to think of another one that is. Um,
And thank you, Tracy, for the links as always. The link there is to the Paranormal Into the Night group. But yeah, anything coming to mind there?
Still thinking.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
There's just so much in there that.
Well,
Um,
again, you're 3 years in. You've got many more investigations to go. Who knows? I'll hit you up next year and see what other kind of experiences you've tackled in these investigations you do. Let me scroll down real quick to see if there's any questions before I move on and ask you a couple things that I want to ask. Droon, $20 super chat. Thank you very much. Thank you, Krystal, for sharing this with us tonight. Thank you, Droon. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. It helps the channel in every way. Uh, let's see. My haunt. Okay, it doesn't look like I see any. Um, do you feel that your abilities are getting stronger now that you're diving into the paranormal field? Are you kind of honing in on them a little bit more than you were when you were a little bit younger?
yeah, I think that I'm honing in and also taming them a little bit.
There you go.
um,
Yes, yes.
because I'm just learning myself a little bit more, but I'm also learning when I hear the most, when I feel the most. I'm not gonna, if it's very loud around me, of course, it's gonna be hard for me. That's why I like to do things on my own before I go into a group. I like to walk into rooms alone. I will inevitably, if there's a group, you will see me walking off and wandering off, and I'm not supposed to. But that's only because I'm feeling things down the hall, or I'm feeling things in another room, and that's just what I have to do. I have to be able to concentrate, and I feel like it's getting stronger and stronger without having to concentrate so hard. And I don't know why for sure, but I'm going with it. I'm just gonna go with it because it's
Yeah.
working.
No, no. You've just started this journey, kind of. Well, you've been on a journey your entire life, but you're just starting the journey to, like you said, hone your skills and learn a lot more about all of this stuff. So, definitely. Trogdor, you're asked. There's the email. If you look right below you now, you'll see my email there. You got to email me there, and we will definitely talk about your psychopomp life. Yes, Trogdor, I will be interested. I've got lots of questions for you, that's for sure. So if there's no other questions here, I'm going to ask you a couple of my own. Let's see. Evan Detweiler, what's going on? This has been one of my favorite streams you've done since I've come to the channel so far. So good. Thank you, Evan. I really do appreciate that. Yeah. Listen to that, Krystal. Uh, people really enjoying it. So, and so am I. But I want to move on real quick and talk about you also love horror movies and stuff like that. Oh, before I get there, what are your thoughts on the whole Ouija board thing? And probably the same as everybody else, but I like to ask the question. So go ahead.
Um, I have personally never touched a Ouija board. I have been in the room while they were being used. I'm not 100% comfortable doing it. And even though I know it's the same as everything else that I use, it's just that stigma that Hollywood has put on it, I'm pretty sure is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm gonna get possessed. I don't want to touch it. Um, but I'll be in the room while it's being used. I don't mind.
Okay.
But there's this part of me, and it is that Southern Baptist girl coming through. I'm like, I'm just gonna stand back and watch you touch it, but I'm not gonna touch it. But I have seen them work, so I do
Okay.
feel like they work. But until I touch one, because I am a skeptic believer, I'll still wonder if they're moving it, because that's just how I am. Because
Oh
I'm always
yeah.
picking apart everything that's going on around me, like, okay, I seen that. Okay, I seen that. But I haven't touched one. I don't know that I will. I'm not saying I won't, but that little Baptist girl comes out a little bit every now and then.
Yeah. No, I hear you. You know, listen. I wasn't raised religious. I think I wasn't raised with any kind of preperceptions of anything. And my parents got me a Ouija board when I was a teenager, and yes, I used it. And me and my brother, we were all gung ho about it because we loved that kind of stuff, you know. And We set the closet up with a little stand. We put the Ouija board in there. We had the light candle going. We had a power symbol above us to bring as much power in this closet as possible. And we started asking questions. Okay. And I've talked about this before, but I started asking questions and it gave us answers to everything. People might not believe me, but it got so freaky, okay, because we were throwing transformer cards which were numbered over the bed. We were just picking them out and throwing them over the bed and saying, what is the number of the card? And it would tell us it was 92. And we go, holy crap. We kept getting positive. And we asked, okay, what is our father's driver's license number? How the heck would we know this? So we asked, and we ran down really, really quick and asked him. He said, "Why? What are you guys doing?" He said, just, what is your number? Because the Ouija board said it. And he read it out to us. It was the exact number of his driver's license. It did scare me afterwards, and we didn't do it. We didn't do it for a very long time after that. But nothing bad ever came of it. The house wasn't haunted. Nothing happened. But that's an experience anyways. Hello, Larry Lane. What is going on? Larry Lane. I live on Larry Lane, 524. Good to see you. Glad you're here. I have to say, Zusha K, have you ever thought someone was perhaps possessed in any of your investigations? Krystal?
No. I was kind of, I thought it was funny one night. I was on an investigation and there was someone who was trying to pretend like they were maybe, and you could see right through it. And I thought, this is entertaining. I'm just going to watch this for a bit. But no, I didn't buy it. I didn't pick up on it at all. They was fine 5 minutes later, and that's not how possession works. So, I don't know, but I've never experienced possession or what I felt was possession. I don't really want to, honestly, but I expect that it could happen. With all the places that I go, it could definitely happen. I haven't personally experienced it.
Okay. Yeah. The darker side of this is if you enter a place that is being that has a demon or an evil spirit, it's a whole different ball game. And you definitely want to be careful because there are things lingering from the beginning of time. I know this sounds crazy and all this, but again, I'm going to have Gary Wayne on later in October, and you guys will hear about it. But there are things from the beginning of time that were not human, that we call demons, okay? And they are still around in this veil, doing and wreaking havoc, making people's lives miserable. And you definitely don't want to get involved in that kind of stuff. If you do, and you're strong enough and your will is there and you want to tackle it, you better take every precaution you possibly can. But it is a serious thing. Anyways, and you agree, I'm sure.
I had forgotten, but I do. This a memory also. I'm pretty sure that a group of us encountered a demon one night after we left the rugby cemetery. The same night that I was pushed down, we went to another bridge that had urban legends. So we were kind of hanging out there. Wasn't getting anything. No equipment was working. Actually, the video camera just stopped working. And we heard what we thought was a car drive off of the bridge. It was that loud. And we run down there and it was a tree. A tree had actually just fell into the river. So we're laughing at each other. We're making fun of each other because, it's like 3 a.m, witch's hour. So, and we're laughing because we're tired and we just ran from a tree falling in the water. So, at this point, we're just like, okay, it's probably time to go home because we're delirious. So we go back up the hill and we're kind of hanging out, saying our goodbyes, talking, sharing anything we might have picked up on any equipment. And another member of the group I was with went back to the river and he's like, guys, come down here. You're not going to believe this. So we all go down there. The tree's gone. There's no tree, and it's very shallow water, so it couldn't have sank. The water was down really low that night, and the tree was gone. Well, as we're standing there, we heard a growl. It was a very, very, very deep growl. Not an animal. I've been raised in the mountains. It was not an animal.
Right.
And one of the guys, he's like, "What was that?" No more did he say that. He came over us loudly, and we all took off. We got out of there quick as we could because that's not something I want to mess with personally.
Right.
So, my son was at the top of the hill waiting for me in the car because he was over it at this point. He's a teenager.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Mom, I swear it was right beside the car." I said, "No, it was down by the river. It was not up here by the car." So whatever it was had surrounded us. But as I do my research on demons, they do entice you. They do pull you in. They do want you to come to a spot. That tree falling was very enticing. We came back. We came back to the water, and it was coming in closer and closer and closer. So we left. We went back because it was my
Yeah.
idea, but we
Right.
didn't do anything when we went back. But I to this day really think that a demon was there present and probably followed us from that cemetery that night.
Wow. Okay. So so you encountered something dark, definitely.
Very
Wow.
dark. Yes.
Very interesting. Yeah, thank you for the link there, Tracy. Hello, Mr. Gallagher. What's going on? Even witches know that to never summon what you cannot banish. Of course. Well, you're getting into a whole new discussion and ball game when it comes to witches and uh, what they do. So, okay, you know what? We're getting to the end here. It's 9:15. It's 8:15 where you're at. Anyways, um, I'm glad you picked up on the time difference there. Some people get it so confused, and we're just an hour across. But anyways, um, let's go into horror movies real quick because we got 15 minutes. It's Halloween time, and I want to know a little bit of horror. I want to know your favorite horror movie of all time. What is it?
It's absolutely Halloween. Michael Myers is my boo.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
it's my favorite. I'm so excited for next week. I can't really stand it, but
mm,
yeah, I'm all ready for that.
yeah, Halloween's a biggie for It's Halloween,
It is.
1978. It's the
Yeah,
holiday.
it
So,
is.
which, by the way, is for our channel members and our Patreons. Tomorrow night is Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We always have a movie night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And tomorrow's movie we'll all be watching together is Halloween 1978. So we'll be all watching Halloween, the original, and having a good time getting ready for Halloween for sure. So if you're not a member yet, please join the Patreon. All the links are there, everything else. You don't got a website or a Facebook page or anything you want to like kind of push or anything, right?
No, I mean I have
Yeah.
Facebook. It's just my name, Krystal Blevins. I
Yeah.
don't have a website. Like I said, I do this for me and my small community and the people who want me to
Listen,
join them.
listen,
I'm
the fact
working
that,
on it. Eventually, I will get there maybe,
yeah,
but
no.
uh, it's right
Yeah.
now. I'm just living it. I'm just living in the moment and loving it and letting whatever falls at my feet fall at my feet.
Good. Awesome. Yeah. No, I thought I'd ask, but
No,
that's what I love about finding and I try my hardest to find people who are starting out, getting into it, do this for not like you know what I mean? You got nothing to push, no websites, no nothing, but yet you've got some experience and this turned out to be a fantastic show. I enjoyed it very much talking to you. So that's kind of what I love. Yeah, CM Rosemary's Baby. Yes, that is my favorite horror movie of all time. Rosemary's Baby. Just is. I guess I won't throw the stupid question out there to you that horror fans hate. Um, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, or Jason Voorhees.
my
Crystal.
favorite.
Yes.
It's Michael Myers, hands down. I
Is
mean,
it? Okay.
it really is. I love them all. I do. I love them all.
Yes.
I feel like they really did up some stretching on Freddie. You know, there was a lot of those storylines that were really stretched a little
Yeah.
bit. And
Yeah.
even Halloween, I feel like it's probably come as far as it can come at this point. I
Yeah.
mean, he's got to be what, 70 years old? I don't know. Not really, but um I don't know.
Well, he's become supernatural. I mean, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
we're
I
waiting.
guess so.
Yeah, we're
And
waiting for
Jackson,
Halloween.
I love all the Friday the 13th. I love them all. I mean, I love the classics. We're talking Night of the Living Dead, you know, all
Yeah.
those things. I love
Yep.
all those. Grew up watching those because I was a weird kid.
I was a weird
Yeah,
kid too.
I was a weird kid.
It's because it was a big family, and we were a big Italian family, and none of them cared what the kids were watching. The family got together on movie nights. I swear to God, there were 20 people in the room, all watching Friday the 13th, and I'm like 6 or 7, and I remember, and the bodies getting thrown through the window, and I'm like going, okay. I mean, it didn't scare me, which is odd, but you know, it kind of, I guess, helped me do what I do now. You know, I mean, I love the horror genre, so I would suggest, if you're a horror fan, have you dove into any of the Italian horror, the giallo films like Suspiria, Deep
Mm-mm.
Red?
No,
Look up look up Dario Argento. I know I'm pushing this on everybody. Look up Dario Argento, okay? Watch Suspiria, Deep Red from the 80s and the 70s. 77 is Suspiria, but check those two movies out and see what you like. And if you do, continue on. They're fantastic films.
okay.
Love them. But yeah, Krystal, thank you very much for joining me this evening. And
No
I-
problem.
I'm honored to be the first one to interview you ever. So
Yeah, this
this
is my first live. I am actually featured in the Paranormal Press magazine. I think it's coming out this month. My issue is that was my
okay.
first interview, but it wasn't like this. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to see that. I mean, it kind of fell at my feet as well. So that was
Okay.
exciting.
And what is that? The magazine Paranormal
Paranormal Press. I think it's
Paranormal
had out of
Press.
Florida. I don't even. That's sad, but I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it's out of Florida. I
Gotcha.
know I'm on the cover of that, the back cover, and there's an actual interview somewhere. I haven't received my copy yet, but
Gotcha.
it's on its way. So I'm
Okay,
excited
cool,
for that.
cool. Frame it when you get it and put it somewhere in your room, like here, just make yourself a nice little set or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was definitely good to have you here. I enjoyed the
Yeah.
stories. Everybody seemed to really enjoy the show. So yeah, thank you very much. And I'm sure I'll talk to you somewhere down the road again. If
Okay,
you ever
sounds
want to get
good.
Yeah, if you ever want to get in contact with me, if you've gone on an investigation and it was just freaked you out and you need to get on and talk about it, give me an email. I'll get you back on here. We'll talk about it.
I've got a few coming up in the near future. Of course, we're getting into the holidays, so I'll
Yeah,
slow down probably just to enjoy my family, my kids.
right,
Um, but after the new year, I really expect to book up really fast. I stay busy now. If it's not just locally doing favors or just for the fun of it, then
right.
I'm at an event or some other group has asked me to join them and help out. So I'm usually pretty busy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, keep on rolling and continue your journey. And best of luck to you and everything. And thank you again, Krystal.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you take care.
Bye.
Bye bye. I like how I say bye bye. Like I'm talking to my kids or so. Anyways, yeah, there you go. Krystal Blevins, paranormal investigator. Very good show. Very good stories she had to talk about, or experiences. I like to call them, not stories. So experiences. And thank you all in the chat. Thank you everybody who gave a super chat. I really appreciate that. Droon and I can't remember offhand because my short-term memory, but thank you all very much. Again, October's filled every Thursday with Paranormal Into the Night. And again, we have some good guests coming up. And even Tracy this week has Warren back. So that'll be fun. He was a hoot the last time he was on here with Tracy on Tuesday for Late Night Coffee Talk. So that'll be a good show. And let's see, tomorrow night is movie night. Halloween 1978. We will all watch that together. Who shows up? And Saturday evening, you will get a new set yet again. This one, you guys are going to love it. It's going to be really cool. Internet should be fixed tomorrow night. But tonight, I hope, fingers crossed, it goes well. It won't stop. It's driving me nuts, and I'm putting a permanent fix to that for sure. So overnight tonight will be CBS Radio Mystery Theater, and I handpicked some very good episodes, so you should enjoy them. It should make for a mysterious, somewhat spooky night. You know, some of those CBS Radio Mystery Theater, one of them's a sci-fi. So, you know, it's CBS Radio Mystery Theater. So, and thank you, Tracy, for dropping all the links. I really do appreciate it. Oh, no, Monday. Yes, we switched. Tracy was able to get Warren Robert on Monday. So the Late Night Coffee Talk will be Monday, not Tuesday. So everybody here, just remember that. Of course, I'm sure they will figure it out. Can't wait. Hugs, everything will be great. Thank you. Thank you, Rich Cat Ranch, for the stream. I will end this now, and I will catch you guys over at the CBS Radio Mystery Theater stream overnight tonight. And once again, much love to each and every one of you who showed up tonight and enjoyed this. And hello, Harry Scott. There you are. And yeah, until next time, you guys, stay spooky. Yeah. Hey, everybody, have to enter the stream once again and end it. I got to end the stream. So if anybody stayed a few minutes later, I exited out and I didn't even save the stream. So here I go. I am ending it again.